Well, game one is done. Let's get stuck into it. The Heat absolutely got demolished. Joe, how did the Lakers get it done?
So the Lakers, although they got off to a bit of a rough start, they really turned on the Jets in I'd say the second quarter, the second half really. It really just started with being a little more serious on the defensive end. And I think I saw that they went on, this is incredible that any team did this in the finals. I think it was a 75-30 run I saw on Twitter. That is over any span, that is ridiculous in an NBA game. But not to mention, this is the NBA finals we're talking about. That is just unheard of. And it really just stemmed off of their ability to make 3-point shots. We saw, yeah, they started off a little bit rusty in the first quarter. Maybe Danny Green couldn't really get it going, but in the second quarter, everybody seemed to be hitting Markieff Morris, Danny Green, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I feel like those 2 threes he got in the corner in the first quarter just really started opening up their offense. And besides that, just utter dominance from LeBron and Anthony Davis. Davis, who, we all expected him to be consistent, but this was his first ever NBA Finals game, and he really delivered. And we've seen that when that duo is hot, they're just really tough to stop. And unfortunately, on Miami's end, no matter who you're rooting for, you hate to see this just injury bug just coming for them this game with Dragic and Butler and Adebayo. We're still waiting on news of his shoulder. So with all those factors combined, it was a dominant win for the Lakers, and 3 more, and they'll be exactly where they want to be. I think if they keep up this pace, if they keep up exactly what they did in game one, I think we should see maybe originally I picked Lakers in 7, but wouldn't surprise me if this is 4 or 5.
Joe Money Makara is turning into Paul Pierce the Truth apparently now. But let's get to Nick Bam Boylan. Nick, how's your wrist feeling? Bam didn't, or his shoulder. You don't look too great right now, mate.
What wasn't fantastic, I think we all got really excited with what the Heat brought to the table from the jump. Really, really hot start. They got up 13. And I think the sign that looked like the Heat might be having a good series was Jay Crowder was knocking down his threes after really struggling in the conference finals. He got his first 2 to go down from deep. Had 4 of 7 from downtown on the night. So that is a positive for Miami. Jimmy Butler started really hot as well. He had 9 early points. But, he was also another one to add to the injury concerns, rolled that ankle a little bit and then came back on in the fourth, which I was mind-boggling, to be honest. Really similar to seeing Davis and LeBron sort of close out that fourth quarter. Don't really see why it needed to happen. But anyway, Bam really started hot as well. He had 6 points and 3 boards early. He really had his way with Dwight Howard. But then as soon as Dwight came off and the Lakers started going small, it really opened the floodgates for LA, as Joe talked about. Their bench mob starting and their role players really started stroking the ball from deep with, the same kind of efficiency that Miami expect to. And it was a really, really bad turn for the Heat, as we saw. The Lakers, I think, it got up to they were a plus 30 with Howard on the bench, and it really just changed the game completely. Shut down Bam before Bam did hurt that shoulder. Malika Andrews from ESPN tweeted out that the X-rays on that left shoulder were negative, so hopefully that the injury isn't as serious as we initially thought. Regardless of which team you're going for, if you're neutral, no one likes to see players go down injured. So we'd love to see Bam back out there contributing. And then some other bad things that went wrong for the Heat. They got killed in the boards. They finished down 18 on the glass, which was massive. And LA did a really good job keeping Miami away from the free throw line. The Heat have been averaging 27.6 free throw attempts per game during the playoff series. They only had 14 in this one. So credit to the Lakers in stopping the Heat getting any shots from the charity stripe, and they only shot 31% from deep, which was massive. And then going more off the injuries, obviously, I think probably the big one is that Dragic's left foot injury. He had trouble with that ankle in the seeding games. It kept him out at various stages in the early weeks of the bubble. Greg Sylvander, who covers the Heat for 5 Reasons Sports, is initially said that Dragic might be done for the series. That's what he's been hearing, which would be absolutely devastating for the Heat if that's the case. I'm speaking personally for myself. It's been great to see Goran Dragic get to the finals. He's such a great player who's been, playing well for such a long time. Been phenomenal since he's been back in the starting lineup for the Heat, being their leading scorer through the playoff run. So we're hoping that that news isn't as serious as they thought. And then some of the other struggles for the Heat. I thought Tyler Hero really struggled in his first NBA Finals contest. He finished with a -35. Got really attacked on the defensive end at various stages, particularly from the jump. He had 7 points late, which was good. As the Heat definitely didn't roll over. They didn't get down by like 40 or 50. They fought back hard, which was great. But yeah, Hero only had 6 of 18 from the floor. Duncan Robertson had 0 points on 0 of 3 shooting. Really poor there from Duncan. But I guess one positive that I took out of the game for the Heat was Kendrick Nunn. I know it's hard to put a lot of credence or value in sometimes the junk time minutes when the margin is so massive. But Nunn really struggled coming back after he tested positive to COVID, and Goran was back in the starting lineup for the Heat. Nunn in the playoffs has been really out of rhythm, hasn't looked like the player who was an all-rookie first-team member after a fantastic regular season. In the playoffs prior to tonight, he was averaging 3.2 points per game on 29% shooting in just 11 minutes per game, compared to his 15.3 points per game on nearly 44% from the field. So he's seen a massive drop-off there. But in his 20 minutes tonight, he had 18 points on 8 of 11 shooting. So if Dragic really is out for the rest of the series, one positive for the Heat fans to take away is that, Kendrick looked pretty good late in the game. So hopefully that's something that he can contribute going forward if he is to get more minutes. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Heat respond.
He is hoping for a more competitive game too and a longer series. We all want long games. We want more of these recaps. I want to hear you guys talking more about basketball. You guys are very smart. I just chime in with dumb Joe Harris takes. Joe Harris will never shoot 0 of 3 from the field in a playoff game. There's no doubt about that. But let's finish off with a quick prediction, guys. Joe, you said you were thinking of changing your prediction. I'll give you a little bit of a mulligan. Do you want to change your prediction for the finals?
I still need to wait on the status of Adebayo, see how serious that is, make sure Jimmy Butler's okay. So for now, I don't want to keep flip-flopping. I'll stick with my prediction, and we'll see where to go once we get results.
Yeah, flip-flopping is my job. Nick?
I originally picked the Lakers in 6, and I'm going to stick with that, though it may drop down to Lakers in 5, depending on the status of those Heat injuries. So it'd be really interesting to see how Spoelstra can, get creative with his rotations to make this a series.
One of the best coaches in the league. If anyone can do it, he can. Guys, stay tuned on iTunes, all streaming platforms, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, all the notifications there. We'll be back for Game 2.